Shabbat Tetsaveh is mainly concerned with the priesthood, with their garments, and with their duties within the tabernacle. Priesthood played a tremendously important role in Jewish life. It wasn't just that they had to perform on behalf of the community the daily ceremonials, the sacrificial system, all of which 2,500 years ago was essential to the national identity and the spiritual identity of the Jewish people. But in addition to that, they were the paid full-time servants of the community. They were, in a way, rather like the social workers, the psychiatrists, the medical experts of a community, and the educational teachers and principles of Jewish life. This was their ideal role. Originally, the firstborn had this function in the community. That was then transferred to this class of public servants. And their duty was to serve the community. The fact is that unfortunately, if we look at the books of the Bible, they consistently failed. There were exceptional cases and exceptional high priests, but they were corrupted by power and by their position. And sadly, this happens in all religions all too often, that human failures destroy or undermine the divine spiritual ideals. After the destruction of the Second Temple, the priesthood effectively disappeared. We retain them symbolically in the fact that when we read from the Torah, every first aliyah goes to the Kohen, to the priest, and every second aliyah goes to a Levi, assuming there are some of them in the synagogue in the community at the time. And their general duties have now devolved on community professionals and indeed on rabbis and teachers. So the whole idea of the priesthood as envisioned in the Torah has disappeared. One might think theoretically, as one does of many things, that there may be a stage sometime in the future when they return, but it isn't necessarily going to be the case. We won't know until Eliyahu comes how things are going to work in the future. But I think it's an example of how things progress, how early on in society you needed specified classes to carry out specified roles and functions. But as time progresses in a more open and egalitarian world, we as individuals are asked to take on some degree of responsibility. Some of us will take it on through our personal service, some through charity, and some of us will do it simply by being effective members of a community, supporting a community by our very presence, by our knowledge, by our commitment, and by our ability to stand up and fight if necessary. I don't only mean physically, but I mean intellectually and publicly. So in a sense, the priesthood has now devolved upon all of us. We are described in the Torah as Mamlechet Kohanim, a kingdom of priests. And this idea of a holy nation doesn't mean that we are better or that we are impervious to corruption, but it means that we all have to find a way of serving and of helping, and that way we can be productive members.